And now, it's my great pleasure to welcome Lizette Espinosa and Giuseppe Veneziano, owners and founders of infanttech, an organization manufacturing and providing baby safety products to support parents and families. You'll see the Zoobies right here on stage, and I'm sure you'll see them next. I have been informed that they did not find that Diego the dinosaur, one of their previous Zoobies, was very popular, so I am personally upset that Diego the dinosaur has gone the way of the dinosaur, and we now only have 4 other Zoobies. But with that, welcome Lizette and Giuseppe.
Good afternoon, everybody.
Hey. And here's the Zoobies. Hi, everybody. I'm Lizette Espinosa Veneziano.
And I'm Giuseppe Veneziano.
And we are the founders of infanttech and the creators of the Zooby Baby Monitor for cars. And our mission is simple. It's to make parenting easier. Here's a little bit about ourselves first.
So I'm a son of a shoe repairman who taught me how to take things apart and put things back together, which ultimately led me to create the prototypes for our creations of Zooby.
And for me, I'm an immigrant, came here when I was 5 years old. Prior to infanttech, I was a former litigating attorney, and we are a husband and wife team, got into the baby business because of the need with our own son.
Yeah, and to date, since 2014, our inception, we've grossed over $8 million in total revenue. We have 5 full utility patents, and in 2023, we were a recipient award winner for the IC 100, ranked number 7 as the fastest growing business in our community.
Part of our resource networks, I'm actually really excited that we are a certified minority and women-owned business. We have a strong network with inner city capital connections, did part of the Goldman Sachs 10 KSB, and recently in 2024, we were part of the Ernst & Young EAN network.
So we are asking for up to $5 million for up to 20% equity, so infanttech can scale into the baby tech industry.
We believe that in year 3, we will have at least a $25 million ARR, and that is our exit plan between 3 to 5 years to be acquired by another company.
So did you know that driving with an infant or a child in the backseat is one of the new parents' very stressful moment? So let me ask you this really quick. Close your eyes and imagine this. You're a new parent, you're driving along, you have your baby in the back seat, facing backwards. Everything's calm, everything's quiet. You finally get to your destination and you turn around and you come out. You go to your baby to take them out of the back seat, and their face is blue. Now, that has happened, and that's happened more often than not. So that's considered blind driving. And babies can be choked, they can choke, they can slide from their car seats. Car seats are made for impact and not necessarily for in-time safety precautions.
The other thing that happens is for parents, there's a lot of overwhelm. There is something new happening, particularly for women, and because they just had a new baby, you've heard the term mommy brain. What it means, it's really that she now has this instinctive program to make sure that her baby is alive. So she might end up doing things on the road that are not necessarily safe for driving, but she was doing it to keep her baby alive.
And not to scare any new moms or moms-to-be, but 64% of new moms have admitted to turning around to attend their babies in the back seat and taking their eyes off the road. And of those 64%, 10% have actually gotten into car accidents, which cause harm to the baby.
So what's our solution?
Solution is the Zooby Baby Monitor for cars. It's a cute and cuddly plush with a camera embedded in the nose and a monitor that's affixed to the dash at your front, right by the front driver. Now, not only is our Zooby cute and cuddly, but it's also been crash tested, so it won't become a projectile in case of an accident. And to this day, we've sold over 50,000 units, so we do have a proven concept.
So even though the Zooby is cute, it's definitely not a toy. The Zooby is a lifesaver. It helps reduce this minimum distraction. It helps and alerts parents to emergencies. And it stays on after the car is turned off so that the parents will still see the baby in the monitor screen. It's hoping to alert and prevent those hot car deaths. Because when that happens, it's because they just forgot that the baby was there. Video.
So now let's go ahead and hear a testimonial from a new mom who's just using the Zooby for the first time.
You guys ready to go? Perfect. Let's go with your Zoobies. This is really well packed. I feel like it's a lot better right now where I have the peace of mind that I don't get from a mirror. I feel really confident that it's been crash tested. You never know what's going to happen on a day-to-day basis. I was always very worried and hesitant. I have to try to look back and guess what's happening because I can only look at them partially, not having to look back and being able to know that they're okay. The sleep helps me not worry about what's going on in the back. The quality of it itself, it's better than anything I've seen, for sure. And you just have that confidence that you have that monitor there, and you have a visual on them, and you can immediately look at them. The monitor screen is less distracting for me, and it's a lot less stressful. It's actually lowering down my anxiety.
I love seeing that video because the mom really was saying what we were talking about. She had more confidence and she was happy that she could drive looking forward. And I don't know if you've noticed, but she had twins. Our Zooby has a split screen monitor so that you can actually monitor more than one child with one camera. And so let's talk about this market. How big is the baby tech industry? So overall, the baby juvenile products market is $46 billion in the United States alone. But the baby tech industry, when it comes to monitoring, we're about $2.7 billion, and that will be by 2030. There is so much room to grow here in this space, and it is also an evergreen market. Evergreen because we're always going to have babies, there's always going to be children, and there's always going to be this brand new mom who's actually going to be facing this issue of the unknowns. So we are looking at this upward trend. When we look at the serviceable, addressable market in the U.S., it's about 640 million. So that we do anticipate that we can have, even if we had a 5% of the market, it would be at least a $35 million or above. And this is just baby monitoring alone, so it doesn't consider any other products that infant tech might come up in the baby tech industry. So let's talk about our Zooby and how are we going to scale? How are we going to distinguish ourselves from our competitors? Right now, when we entered into the market, it really was us educating everybody. There's about 2 key players right now. Nobody has the direct wireless component that we do because our Zooby can also be used at home and on the go. Also, nobody has that plush component, which we have gotten reviews from parents that it does calm the baby while they're in the car and they consider that they have a little buddy. One of our patents that we talked about earlier is a direct car integration patent. That is really the game changer for us, and no other competitors would have that. That would be that instead of having that separate monitor screen, you could use it directly into the car, into the dashboard, or possibly a mirror. But that would be the next place for the Zooby. Giuseppe, can you tell them about our blockchain?
Yeah, one of the concerns that parents have when it comes to transmitting a monitor and imaging on their baby is strangers hacking the video imaging and the transmission. Well, we have the patent to go ahead and allow for that technology, the blockchain technology, to secure that transmission, so it's virtually impossible to get that hack involved with a monitoring system.
Another piece too for the Zooby is that there are potential other verticals in the senior care space or even pet care space. So that's also a possibility. So let's talk about where we've been and where we're going on a trajectory of growth. Right now, we recognize that it sounds aggressive, going from 1.5 million in 2025 to 25 million in 2028. One of the things that we did in 2023, we faced our biggest challenge to date. You know, as entrepreneurs, everybody has some moments, and we faced a voluntary recall in 2023. When we were faced with that decision, it was one of those where we were tested on values, and we're very proud to say that we absolutely put our customers first. We're dealing with first-time parents and with babies, and yes, it affected us financially, but it allowed us to pivot and to take a moment to restructure where else can we maneuver. So we are moving forward from that point, and one of our key drivers for growth and to get us to this next level is identifying 2 key players that we're going to add for the C-suite positions, to add between me and Giuseppe. We are looking for the people that are already seasoned, particularly in the CPG space, and that know mergers and acquisitions, so that they will set us up for the moment that we are getting ready to sail. And they already are dealing with a $100 million plus market. And right now, we are direct to consumer. We are online. The next piece that we are planning to do is change our manufacturing facilities. So prior to what's happening on in the environment, we do manufacture in China because it's electronics. We've been looking to maneuver and change our manufacturing to Mexico, and we do have an engineering team in Mexico. And these projections are also before the tariffs, so that will probably be a question that might come up later. And the third thing of the key drivers will be just maximizing our IP.
So as Lizette mentioned, we were going to hire 2 new chief officers into into employment. So besides Lizette and myself, we're looking to hire a chief revenue officer and also a chief growth officer who, like Lizette said, have experience for building companies from the ground up to 100 million plus, and then also exiting at 10x from there.
So where will the investment go? So again, it's seeking up to $5 million, but we're focusing, let's say, on the top priorities. We are seeking about $500,000 that would go to the key personnel. We're thinking about $2 million to manufacturing, inventory, and that would be even moving facilities, getting everything set up in Mexico for final assembly, and about $1 million into our R&D when it comes to getting the direct car integration, working with the automotive space, and technicians. So opportunities for growth. We really believe that InfanTech is positioned for strategic growth in a $1 billion baby tech market. We are at an exciting crossroads, and we have so many different people that are coming to support us in this venture. I want to share a story of a particular woman that we met last year who is now on our advisory board. Her name is Sharon McNabb, and she actually is the original creator of the baby monitor for cars that she launched in 2004 at the Consumer Electronics Show. She was working for General Motors, and to quote her, she said, it lasted 5 minutes. She had no traction, it didn't last, but she did not give up. She actually went back and she's like, there must be something I can do with this camera. It is what you guys now know as the rear backup camera that is mandatory in all vehicles. And that camera is still saving lives because it was originally created for that, so that children wouldn't get run over. So when we met, it was one of those like kismet moments. How is it that we had these 2 ideas, and we were both in honor of each other, in awe of like, wow, you took it to this level. And then she created, the fact that she did this additional step of making it mandatory and work with policy was amazing. But then she was amazed at like, wow, you guys actually took it to what I couldn't do and brought it to market, brought it to consumers, and actually are addressing the in-vehicle problem of the rear seat. So it's one of these pieces where imagine being that investor a few years ago, let's say 10 years ago, where you would have had the opportunity to invest in her idea. It's like, well, this is the opportunity coming up again, because we are now in the position of the transformation of the Zooby. Where else can it go? Where else can it be? Where can we be in baby tech space? And it's a good opportunity. We're just so excited of what's available for this space and helping families.
So what people have missed back in 2004, fast forward 20 years, lightning doesn't strike twice, but in this instance, it can. And this one is an opportunity for sharks to go ahead and invest. 20 years later, don't pass up that opportunity, and don't pass up this one. Thank you.
All right, this time I'm going to start it over on the other end. Jean, you want to lead us off?
Great presentation. I wish I had this when I had my son 16 years ago. This would be helpful. And I'm glad you mentioned tariffs because a lot of our clients today are, pivoting to either, if they have the capital, manufacturing U.S. or other countries. And a lot of our clients that do manufacture in China, they're holding off on buying more inventory. So having said that, what's your inventory level look like, and how are you managing through that? And how is that timing? What's the timing of having the Mexico manufacturer being set up to not interrupt your?
That's a great question, and it is actually one of those where we're in that same position as your clients. So right, inventory is low, and prior to this issue, we were exempt from the tariffs because we were in the rule where we were the de minimis. But now to do that 145%, it definitely affects our cost of goods. So we right now are at a pause for getting new inventory until we can see what happens in the next. You don't know what might change in the next 30, 60 days.
Yeah, and for the question regarding Mexico, we
yes.
were about 90% complete in our engineering portion to get that taken over from China. There's still some components, electronic components, that have to get manufactured in China. That's just the reality of it. However, going from China to Mexico and hit final assembly of Mexico, and then trucking it over to the United States, it saves us some time from the freight, from the ocean freight, which is literally about anywhere from 30 to 60 days before it reaches us, to a matter of a 2-day truck drive.
Yeah. And I think you asked how long would it take us to transition. It probably would still take about a year. This is one of the things I think people don't realize, that manufacturing changes don't happen overnight. So I'm actually glad to be talking about this on stage so that people do recognize that the unraveling of that takes time.
So assuming you don't buy any inventory, how long can this, right now, your levels take you?
We really would have like less than 30 days, so we're at a pause.
Okay. Okay. And last question: have you been able to pass down some of the costs to your clients, to the product cost?
At the end, right now, we're actually considered the luxury brand of the baby monitoring space for the car. So I don't feel we have too much room to pass that on to the consumer. We would prefer not to do that. So that's something that we would just have to look at.
Yeah, it's one of those where that cost to pass it down to the consumer is just, it wouldn't be joyous for them. And
What's your margin on that?
Some room in your
right now?
margins.
So our margin prior to the tariffs was approximately 70% margin, which is really good. So right now we'd get down to probably up to 50, if not lower. So because we're on a pause, we're waiting to see exactly what the tariffs are how they're going to affect.
Gladys?
Thank you for that presentation. I really enjoyed it. I do have some feedback. The first thing is that I couldn't understand anything in the video, and I'm not sure if it's just because of the speakers, but I think it was also a lot of like noise in the car and like the music, and but I would have loved to been able to like hear what she was saying, because I think that testimony was really important. So that's one of the feedback pieces. The other one is that I really enjoyed that you talked a lot about safety. And like the patents that you're having and how you're going to grow, because it's not just like with the babies, it's also with the pets and a couple of other things that you mentioned, but especially like the direct car integration. I think that's really, really cool. So I do have a couple questions for you. The first one is, how long have you guys actually been selling? Like how long have you been generating revenue?
Since 2014, and we got it's interesting because the first few years were the educational piece. We got our huge push in 2020. And and we're direct to consumer. When we first started, we were actually in stores. We were online with Bye Bye Baby and Babies R Us before they went out of business. But it allowed us to get direct to consumer, which we improved our margins that way.
Got it. And where are you selling now?
Right now, you will find us on our website, on Amazon, on Macy's, and Walmart.
Got it, okay. And last question, have you guys raised money so far?
Yes, we've raised approximately, last year actually, we did raise convertible notes. We raised about $245,000 in that. And then we did try to do a start engine raise. It wasn't as successful as we wished it would have been. It was the beginning of our venture capitalist experience, so that was about $35,000.
Cool, okay, thank you.
Thank you.
David, word to you.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for the presentation. Great kudos for getting to $8 million in revenue. I'm sure if you think back to the first day you thought about this idea, to me that's just a tremendous accomplishment. So great job. I want to say my own daughter, who's about to turn 13 in 48 hours, was born a month early, and she was 4 pounds 11 ounces when we took her home from the hospital. And I was driving, and my partner was in the passenger seat, and I turned around 30 times in 5 miles. So she was this small. So I get it, and I see the value, and also that you talked a lot about safety. Questions first. I'm curious about your product development strategy, and I ask because I could see how there's so many different offshoots and revisions and tweaks you can make to the product, and you talked about having a wide variety of functionality. So I'm curious how y'all are thinking about really hyper-focusing on this product and the market opportunity for this product versus also making sure you're innovating and developing those other uses. How are you spending your time and money across those functions?
Yeah, so one of the things is, back in 2018, we did experiment with a Wi-Fi version of our monitor, and we found that parents just did not want to use their cell phone to monitor their child in the back seat. They use it for other apps like for maps or music and whatnot. And so we came out with a little tablet that would be a companion with that, but we found that doubled our cost because there were 2 different manufacturers. So we went back to the current one that you see in front of you, which is basically just radio.
It's our MVP.
It's a radio frequency between point A and point B, and that's it. And this is what we're developing, and our R&D is actually looking to integrate more features into it, whether it's because they can use it at home, making the monitor a little more sleek, maybe a little bit bigger, and a lot of functionalities like lullabies or different type of features like that.
And I'll add with the direct car integration, because that's the thing we were looking at 2 different angles, whether it's Google Play or Apple Play, and dealing with individuals in the automotive industry. So that's one of the things that people are coming to us, like Sharon McNabb. Even we have another gentleman who's been in the industry for 30 years, particularly in safety. So that right now we feel would be the easiest, and even maybe start into the car accessory space. But we're focusing there. There is actually another potential product that we are wanting to look at, which is in the breathing space. And though we're focusing on Zooby, we're already looking at it because we wanted to reach our mom at the earlier stage of the parenting journey, and we would like to attract her when she's expecting. And so a better person also to teach your children about breathing than your mom. So that's something, again, different spaces of where Infanttech can go, but we are focused on the Zooby first because we are so close to that next scale.
I have a lot more questions and thoughts, but let's talk after, so we're okay.
Thank you. I thought you guys did a fantastic job. Every time I had a question, you were like, here's the answer, here's the answer. Tariffs, what if 2 kids, all of those things, you really nailed it. That to me shows a good presentation. When I'm thinking a question and you instantly answer it without having to go through that. So I thought you guys did really great. That said, similar to the other conversation, or the last pitch we had, I thought you could rework the story a little bit because, again, that emotional moment that you had where you were like, close your eyes and remember the first time or whatever that was that you said, that to me is that moment of emotional tie-in with your audience, and that's what makes a really great pitch. Okay. You guys started with your accolades, your accomplishments. I don't love the title of that slide either, and I didn't think it needed to be first. You guys have done a hell of a lot, but maybe you rework that into a second or third slide. Okay. Again, this is such an emotional brand and an emotional story. I thought you really needed to lean in on that. Similarly, at the very end, I thought you could have a bit of a stronger close with an emotional tie. Because your tagline's really great, like close with a tagline, something like that, where people are like, yes, I get it, I need this product. Again, I think you did a fantastic job. Yeah, you started talking about you guys and your accomplishments, and again, it needs to be about the audience, right, or the investors. Like, why does this matter to us, right? And you have that in spades. You just started with a different narrative. Let's see. I have an introduction for you, actually, that I think would be a great venture partner fit. Oh, I had a couple questions. Is it machine washable, and how long does the charging last?
So it's not machine washable, but it is hand washable.
Okay.
They are made of a velour and also polycotton. And the normal transmission time on a continuous basis is between 4 to 6 hours of continuous monitoring.
Yeah, so it'll last longer if you're using it in
Yeah.
different moments.
Got it.
And we actually, also the newer version, we actually put in a little switch, a little slider switch, because some parents were forgetting to turn it off. So with the slider switch, it's easier for them to know that it's turned off.
Got it.
And that's been prolonging the usage.
I know we're out of time, but just a couple more quick notes. You talked about your hiring strategy twice, and then you also had a slide about it. So I would truncate that a little bit. And then, again, at the end, the lightning doesn't strike twice, but it does. It was like a little bit off. So again, using like a great tagline or another emotional pull-in to close up this conversation. But you guys are like 90% there. Really great job.
Thank you.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Hey.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you, Brad.